Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nate G. We are going to do an active trader lesson and learn how to place an OCO order so that when we put an order in right out of the gate, we can have both a profit target and a stop level. This will really help people that are trying to learn not only the mechanics of the trade, but the discipline of stopping out when the trade goes against you. So the first thing we want to do is open up the active trader in Thinkorswim. This is definitely, a Thinkorswim specific OCO order, but you don't have to use Thinkorswim. There's other brokerages that will allow you to do this in different ways. So don't get hung up in you have to have toss. As you know, I trade in Thinkorswim and I chart in TradingView, right? So they're right next to each other. So as I slide this over onto this screen, where it really lives is just on a screen directly to the left here, right? So they're right next to each other, but I can't show you both. So I have to cover up my charts a little bit to show you what's going on in my active trader window. So right now, the way I have this set up is if I go to, let's choose a SPY, right? So we're going to go to the SPY option chain, and I have it set up right now. And this is how I like to set up my active trader, in that I want to take, let's say I want to take the 710s on the SPY, right? And I want to put that in my active trader window. Now I could come down, right click it, say copy, go over and paste it. But I have it set up so that I can come down here and go send. So I can send the calls to the red number. And then I can right click and send the puts to the yellow number 2. And as you can see, I have this set up, and it's kind of hard to see, but I have the red number 1 set up here for making sure charts and values are synced. And I have the yellow number 2 set up here. So what's really quick for me, if I know that I want to put SPY calls and SPY puts, because I'm going to play the SPY, right? Let's just say, these are just sort of examples. Then I can quickly go over here. I can right click the calls, send those to red 1, and then I can right click the puts and send to red 2. Or if I think, okay, I want to call in the SPY and I want to call in NVIDIA, I'm going to put the call SPYs there, and then I'm going to quickly go over to NVIDIA, and I'm going to say, okay, I want the 210s in NVIDIA, but I'm going to send them to yellow. So now I have SPY calls and NVIDIA calls here, right? If I'm playing the same thing, I like to have calls and puts on both sides, but sometimes I can play two things at the same time if I need to, right? And they're both in there. So for this example, I'm going to keep it with SPY. I'm going to use the slightly out of the money just because I'm just doing examples here, okay? So then I'm going to go back over to charts. SPY is kind of in a spot where it's a good spot to buy, right? So where you can see here, right, I can choose how many contracts I want, right? Default is at 5. The template, which is what we'll use, is set to single, and then it's set at day, and then I have auto send checked so that it's not going to ask me if that's something I want to do. As if I were to accidentally hit my mouse right now, this would buy 5 SPY contracts at $1, right? So I have to be really clear that I know I want 5, or I know I want 10, or whatever value I want to put in here. I'm not buying 20 SPX contracts. That would be a bad idea. But I can really toggle between all of these pretty quickly. Now, if I want to do an OCO order, which means it's going to put in both a profit target and a stop level, I'm going to come to this template that's set at single, and I'm going to change it. So as you can see in here, I have some that I've already created, right? but I'm going to show you how to create this from scratch. So you come up here to the single. We'll go down here to TRG, target with brackets. Okay. And what that's going to open up just below here is where we're going to set our profit target, right? And our stop. So what we want to see, for me, what I like to see, I want to see these as a percent. So I'm going to click them, right? They were on a dollar amount, but I'm going to look at them on a percent. I want my profit target to be at 25%. And I want my stop, and this is all whatever you want as a, whatever you feel the safest with. You want to make sure that's a stop and your profit target is a limit. And so what will happen is as soon as we put on a trade, it'll put in both a stop at 15% and a profit target at 25%. Now, if I wanted to, I could make this a trailing stop, so it would keep moving up with the option if it kept moving up. But I do that manually. I just prefer that because I can judge the amount of swings that may or may not happen, right? And then once I have these in, I'm going to come down and I'm going to, I can't remember how I save this. Is it right here? Oh yeah, this little thing here on the side, this icon. I'm going to click that and I'm going to name it, Sniper 25-15% or something like that. Something that I can remember. I'm not going to save this one because as you can see, I have them listed in here, right? And the one I use the most is this Sniper SPX. Once you save it, it is now in that every time. So and every time you take a trade, right? And then you close that trade, if you're going to take another trade on anything else, you have to do this every time. So I'm going to come down here. Oh, I want to put on a call trade right now. I'm going to go to my Sniper SPX. It immediately puts my 25 and 15 in there because this is not a real trade, but I want to show you how it actually works. I'm going to take one SPY call, right? This is not a real trade. So unless you don't care about potentially losing $25 or $15, don't follow me on this one. I just don't care which way it goes. But then because the SPY does not have a big gap between the bid and the ask, right? In this case, I've got those in there. I can just hit buy market. Right? Now, as you can see, I'm in one SPY call, right? At 98 cents. And then I have a stop limit order here at 84, which is 15%, right? And it might even come down and take me out, which would cost which would be a $14 loss, right? And I have a target up here at $25, which is a 25% win, right? And if this comes down and takes out my stop, then this order up here goes away, right? If it goes up and it takes out my profit target, then this stop here would go away, right? Other cancels other. That's what that OCO stands for. So now I'm in this trade, and you can see over here that I have the SPY up, right? We can kind of make this a little bit smaller. Kind of the idea of sort of playing off this low level here. If you have an active trader and you want this P&L to the open on here, you just have to go into the little gear icon and customize these levels that you see. And it's just P/L open is what you want there in that field. Okay. I wish this would show percentages, but it doesn't. It just shows, dollar value. So now that this is moving up, right, we can see my OCO order is now in profit, right? We can see we might be moving up. There was no buy arrow here because it's kind of just chopping around, but there's a confirmation signal in the color change, right? The buy arrow happened more back here when we were first starting to talk about it. Now we're moving up. So what I do here is once I get about 10% in, so we're at $10, we're roughly at 98 cents, so up to 10, is I will start trailing this up. So all I do is grab this and move it up a little bit. It's kind of coming back in a little bit, so I'm not going to move it to 0 yet, but I'm just kind of tightening up my stop. Now what I don't do is start to move, unless ticks shot up to plus 900, I don't usually move my profit target, because that's where you can start to get into some trouble, right? But now if this comes down here, it'll take me out at 7% instead of 15, and I still have my 25% target. Now I could just walk away and not stare at this thing and not try and think, oh, is this going to go the direction I want it to? It helps take the emotion out of the trade, right? And if it's going to work, it's going to work. If it's not, it's going to stop me out, but it's going to help protect, because what happens in a lot of cases when we're first trying to learn, and I'm going to just move this off the screen for a second. When we're first trying to learn, right, we have this stop level put in like right here under this red line, and it starts to go there, and we're like, oh, well, I'm going to wait. It looks like it's going to bounce. Well, came down to here. Now I'm going to take a 25% loss. I don't want to do that, but there's this level down here that I think it's going to bounce. Oh, look, it's bouncing. This is great. I'm a genius. And then it rolls even further to here. And oh God, I'm 50 down. I don't want to take that loss yet. That's the wrong thing to do, right? If this is the level you think that you're going to risk off of, and that's roughly where your stop is, using the OCOs, it's not exact by any stretch, and you can get wicked out, but you can always change what your settings are in terms of, what's my stop range, and then what's my profit target range. But if you struggle with this move, when a trade goes against you, and rationalizing why you're still in the trade, using this OCO technique basically takes that out of your hands, takes your discipline level out of your hands. So, put a 1 in chat if you have ever struggled with a discipline issue of stopping out when you're supposed, and not just sniper trades, like any trades. Like, where your stop was. Ideally, you have a stop, right? At least a mental stop or a stop on your chart, and it goes past that, and we rationalize with ourselves that this is going to bounce and it's going to save me, because that one time I was able to save a trade by adding to it that was down 70%, and I made profit, or I broke even, and I'm just a genius now, and I can let these things go well past my stop. And then if you look at your trading logs, you go, oh, well, that 5% of the time I can save these trades, and I'm a genius. Right? I'm not going to write out all the genius. But look at that. 95% of the time, those just turn into a bigger loss. Maybe I'm an idiot. Right? But your brain remembers these. Your brain's like, oh yeah, I can let that go, and I can bounce it, and I can save it, and then I'm happy. So here, as this is happening, you see the SPY is moving up. See, I have my 25% profit target in there. Now is when I would come down here, and I would just move this up to 0. Now this is a free trade. This thing can do whatever it wants to do. I don't really care, right? It's either going to take me out of break even for a no harm, no foul situation, or it's going to trigger me out at 25%. And those are the only two things that it's going to do. In theory, it could just chop around sideways for the rest of the day and never hit that. But if it does that, it will definitely take this out, right? And then sometimes in rare occasions, like this 25% is up there, but we're coming up into, let's say we were coming up into this 7130 level on gamma exposure, and it's not quite to 25% yet, and maybe VWAP's a little closer to that, and it's at a pretty good rejection point. I'll just come in and slide that down a little bit and take the profit, right? Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. You know, I would just slide this down a few points and it would take the profit and we'd be good to go. Excuse me. Does anybody have any questions on how to set that OCO order and take your brain out of the mix? Austin, I will very rarely trail my my profit target up, because what happens a lot of times, the only time I'll do that is if the profit target is sitting there and then all of a sudden, like, let's say we're in a call, all of a sudden ticks jump up like this and it looks like, we're getting a lot of buying stepping into the market. I might move that up a little bit, but I would rather take my 25% hit, right? And take that home and find another trade, because I can't tell you how many times I've moved it up, because then you start to get greedy, right? You're moving it up, and then it hits a key level where you should be taking profit, but you're greedy. You want more, and then it reverses and comes down and takes out your zero level. And you're like, God, I had 40% and I just didn't take it. And then you're really mad at yourself. Because the magic about these sniper style trades is, yeah, you're taking 25%, sometimes a little bit more if you're not doing it manually like this, like you're not doing it OCO style. You can get more, but you also have to have the experience. So if you're a person that will frequently let these things go further than they're supposed to when they go against you, this is a good tool to take the discipline piece out of it. It does the discipline for you. Right? And if it's a super choppy day, maybe 25 is too much, right? Maybe you need to change your template to be more of like a, 15%, 10% situation, right? And you have to feel that out for yourself. Yeah, I agree. A bunch of small losses is what you'll find is like take a day just to experiment. Do only all your sniper trades using OCO orders, right? And then see see, it just took me out there at 25%, right? And sure, there's probably more in here. We're probably coming up at the very least into this gamma exposure level or VWAP. But I took my 25% and ran. I'm happy. I don't even have to stare at the chart anymore. I can go outside. I can walk the dog. I can do whatever. So I recommend playing with that because it could be a very neat tool for you if you're not comfortable trusting yourself to stop out using real money. So Coach Bill, you were talking about using paper trading. Learn the mechanics paper trading, and then do whatever you want, obviously, but I usually recommend learning the in and out of getting in and out of a trade in a paper trading environment. And then once you feel comfortable with the mechanics, then start to, at least on a very small scale, put some money on the line. It certainly helps. You figure out what the psychology of the trade is. No, I don't see lag in active trader. Nope. Okay, I'm gonna stop this recording and then we'll talk about opening range breaks.